I've seen parents that are there for the right reasons and they have the experience and they're a great coach. But I've also seen so many coaches coach to help their own kid be there.
Welcome back to another episode of the Increase Performance Podcast. Spicy topic today.
Oh, absolute heater. I cannot wait to stir the pot of this one. There's a lot of things that I'm going to be saying. There's a lot of people, coaches and everything think, but just are scared to say it.
Yeah.
So might as well be the guy.
I like it. All right. Today we are talking about hockey politics. What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's what you're coming out with. What are your thoughts?
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on parent head coaches?
This is a double-edged sword. It's good, bad. There's both, because sometimes if they are a parent coach, but they have a lot of experience in the game, maybe they played a high level of hockey themselves and they are a great coach, then they deserve to be coaching. But it's just such a fine line. Is their kid good enough to be there? Because there's so many head coaches, parent coaches, that coach so their kid can make a team. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
So I personally like coaches that aren't parents because there's no bias. Right? There's such a bias when it comes to parent coaches. It's not even funny. It's actually embarrassing. It's terrible. So again, like I said, there's two sides to the story. Is that parent coach, do they have the background to actually help the kids, or are they there just to help their kid?
Yeah. Have you had an experience growing up where there was a parent head coach that backfired, or is this more speaking to
I've seen
parents?
so many.
Yeah.
I've seen so many. I'm not coming on here to chuck anything under the bus, but I've seen so many that I've seen parents that are there for the right reasons and they have the experience and they're a great coach. But I've also seen so many coaches coach to help their own kid be there, and they're not good enough to be there. So
one thing that I think happens a lot in minor hockey, unfortunately, is hockey politics and parent politics affect whether or not certain kids make teams, even though their skill, they should be on that team based upon their skill, but it's the parent politics that unfortunately lead to them getting cut.
It's terrible, man. It's so much. For some of it, but first off, I gotta say one thing. If you are an unbelievable hockey player, there's no such thing as hockey politics. If you're absolutely nasty, the best of the best, there's no such thing as hockey politics. They don't affect you.
Right.
But for everybody else, they're there. And yeah, the parent groups and the friend groups of being with the coaches, and it's, I just try to avoid all of it. I don't put any time and effort into thinking about it, because if I do that, I'll run headfirst through the drywall. That's for some situations. And it is too bad that there are some kids that get cut because maybe they don't play on the spring team that the coach is with where the other kids are. You know what I mean? And then that's a real thing. So
what would you say to a kid, because there might be kids that are listening that unfortunately just went through this or have gone through this in the past? What are some pieces of advice that you could give to those goalies or players that found themselves in this unfortunate situation?
Yeah, there's a couple things for sure. As one, if you do get cut from a team, keep going. Just because you get cut from a minor hockey team or something like that, it happens, but again, it's not going to define your hockey career down the road, right? If you let your U13 coach define your hockey career, then it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one thing, that it's not over if you do not make a team. But the other thing is just dealing with it, I guess. Because they are there and it's just part of it. So just like I said, just to not it is way harder to tell a kid don't take it serious. You know what I mean? If it's that obvious. But the one thing that I also want to state is, because I've heard so many parents, and don't get me wrong, the politics in hockey, they are there, they're screaming. But I also hear that is an excuse.
Yeah.
From so many parents.
For sure.
We just don't know the right people, and it's yeah, you know what? There are those cases, I already stated, but it's also just the biggest excuse I've heard from people that their kid just isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Oh, politics. Well, it's well, no, little Johnny's just not that good.
Or maybe didn't prepare for tryouts he or she should have.
Yeah. So again, like I said, this whole topic is double-edged, because it is there and it is gross with some levels. But then again, every parent, so many people use it as an excuse, and which, again, like I said, the best kids, the best of the best, they don't deal with politics.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as politics for those kids. So if you're dealing with politics, it's because your kid is either shouldn't be there or is on the edge.
Right.
Right? Yep. So that's just the truth, right?
So you've played all through minor hockey, junior hockey, played at a high level in junior hockey. Now you're into your coaching period. You've been a coach for about 5+ years now. And now you're a coach with the WHL Regina Pats. You get to see the evaluation process from a coach's perspective. My question for you is, what's your thoughts on the evaluation process within minor hockey?
Oh. I wasn't sure where you're going with that. I thought you were going to ask me about my own experience with politics, when I played and everything, but you didn't go there. The evaluation process for minor hockey is it should be done by an outside source. If you're going to have parent coaches, fine, but the evaluation should be done from an outside second or third party that is not connected to you.
So no coaches.
The coaches should not be doing the evaluations.
Right.
There should be a third party that has no bias on anybody. So this is how the kids are ranked. You have to choose them accordingly. If they didn't make that, say the coach's kid isn't in that area, you can't coach that team. And that's how it should be.
Is that how it
Some
is?
places, yeah. Sask hockey, and I'm not saying Sask hockey is the answer.
Right.
Because, no comment. But yeah, there's a lot of minor hockey associations that has Sask hockey, outside party, third party come in and rank the kids. But I know that there's some that don't.
Yeah.
So it's even there's we're talking goalies, there's so many people that evaluate goalies that don't have a damn clue what they're doing or what they're talking about. Not even remotely close in the minor hockey associations and stuff. And I saw an example happen these tryouts around this year. And I'm not going to talk about it, but I was sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
Because of the disgusting thing that happened. And again, I'm not going to get into it, but so again, that went on to people. It doesn't even matter. But I would always recommend, unless it's a small town and you just have enough kids for one team kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when we talk about small
to bigger cities.
Yeah, small cities, once you get out, or maybe even a small town has so many kids trying out that they, you know what I mean? Then you bring somebody in to do the evaluations. I just think that's really important, just to cut the bias out, and then no one has the excuse.
Right. Yeah.
That'll eliminate all of it. Right? Well, what can you say now? Little Johnny didn't make the top 40. He couldn't even be selected.
Yeah.
Because by that people, it has nothing to do with who the coach liked or didn't like, right? And that would just nip so much of it in the bud. Because what can you say to that?
Yeah, you can't.
Nothing.
Right.
So that's my biggest advice, is bring in a third party to do the evaluations.
How does a parent who's in a minor hockey that has coaches evaluating get through to the minor hockey or the coaches that there needs to be change?
Well, it totally depends, I guess. Like, if things are happening that shouldn't be happening, or maybe they have a great thing going and they have a great minor hockey system, but that's not the. We know that that's not true, because the minor hockey associations, even in this province, are disgraceful. And again, it's because they're volunteer positions. So, like, we really can't expect them to be good.
Yeah.
Because people are just volunteering. There's no paid, it's not a paid thing, right? So it's like we can cut it up as much as we want, but at the end of the day, they are still volunteering their time, right? So just selection, like, it's just like the presidents, like, there's not anybody better than that, but to choose from. But
Yeah, it could be an ignorance thing too, where like people that, because they are volunteers, they might not know that it could be better.
yeah, I just think the one thing is, I know that there are some parent coaches that have big egos and stuff like that, and there is no place for that in minor hockey. Like, to have an ego, and like, I'm just biting my tongue hard. You know what? Maybe I should just cut my ties with my my jobs in actual hockey, so we can have a real podcast.
Speak freely.
I can just shoot the jugular on everybody, but no, I won't do that here.
Do you want to come back to your playing career and hockey politics? It sounded like
honestly, like,
in your mind.
I didn't have any, like, it didn't affect me even slightest.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. No, but seriously, like, I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like,
Okay.
it would just didn't affect me. I always got the most playing opportunity possible wherever I played, and it didn't affect me at all. And I didn't even know about it, and I'm sure there was people dealing with it then, right? When I was right, and you're oblivious, right?
Yeah. What?
Oh, I gotta cut you off. One thing though is all the minor hockey BS politics and everything that parents get involved in and all this. When you get to the high levels,
disappears.
It matters this much.
Yeah.
And your opinion as a parent matters this much.
Right.
I know one Bantam U15 team that I work with. We work with their goalies half for the last 3 years. Non-parent coach. I absolutely love it. He has a meeting with the parents at the beginning of the year, and he says, "You can ask me anything other than about ice time." And one parent asked him about ice time one year, and he absolutely gave it to him. And now he manages the team, that other guy.
Yeah.
And so he'll say, like, in the parent meeting, if you want to ask me about ice time, ask him how that went.
So he uses them.
And then they'll ask, and he's like, "Don't."
Yeah.
And it's because, like, shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially because he's a legitimate coach, great background in hockey, great experience. He's there for the kids. Like, he wants to win, but he's there for their development. And he's not unfair.
Yeah.
So other than that, shut up.
Yeah. What are you complaining about, really?
Earn ice time.
Yeah.
Show up to the rink early. Be a good leader. Work hard in practice. Find ways. Don't pout. Don't stop myself from swearing. Don't moan and whine. Like, have bad body language because now you're playing on a lower line. Or if you're a goalie, like, you're not getting the ice time you want. Like, work harder. No coach out there. Well, that's like, cut my words back. All the good coaches out there will be completely fair with ice time based on your work ethic, your body language, your attitude, like regardless of how good you are or not, like minor hockey is about development. Everybody should be playing.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe in the third period, and you're playing a playoff game or you're playing a tournament, maybe you tighten the bench up. And again, this is going into players, but if you're not playing, why?
There's a reason for it.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
And a guarantee, and it's not your skill, it's trust.
Yeah.
They don't trust you to be out there because you might turn the puck over at the blue line. You might not put it deep behind the D. You might not compete on that face-off in your own end, which ends up in the back. Like, those are the things, like we talk about ice time, right, in minor hockey. And for goalies, if you're riding the number one goalie in a tournament or big games, like, so be it. Like, be a good goalie partner. Be a good teammate. Help your teammates. Like, be good on the bench during that time. Don't sulk and, oh, I hate this team. I hate this. Like, that, because when you get to a high level, they don't care.
Yeah.
They care. You know what? They care about the players. Like, I know being with the Pats, like, our coaches care about the players so much. Like, they genuinely do. It's incredible. But if you're going to come to the rink after you're scratched or you're not getting the ice time and you're pouting and you're moaning,
yeah, that's not getting you anywhere.
No, like, just hand you a shovel because you're digging your own grave. Right? Like, we're not in the 80s anymore where, like, guys just get buried because you can't bury a player now. Like, we're living in a different era. So if you're not getting ice time, there's a reason.
Yeah.
It's not just because the coach is being mean or, like, there's a legitimate reason. Now that I'm on this side of things and I get to hear the conversations and the whys and it makes sense.
Yeah.
But when I was playing and I heard my teammates talk and stuff, it's like, oh, that sucks. Or, like,
it's tough when you're a kid too.
Yeah, you don't really understand it, but yeah, a little bit of a tangent there. I don't mind going on one of them every now and then.
No, especially when it's good information like that. So my next question is, coaches taking or choosing kids because of relationships with the parents. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, again, like I said, the whole evaluation process, like, that would nip it all in the bud.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, let's not kid ourselves. If I'm in this situation, but this is totally different. If I'm in a situation where I'm the head coach, okay? I'm picking my team, and I know these people compared to these people I don't know, but the kids are very similar, I'm taking them.
Yeah.
Because I know what parents are like. They're good people. Like, all those things go into effect when you're selecting a team.
Yeah.
You want as many good people as possible. Oh, the kids are close. That mom or dad is absolutely off the rails. Like, they're crazy. Who wants to, like, no, like, those things do factor in, right? You hope that the players are similar. But again, like, even if, say, their two players are similar, and I really like the kid, he's got a good attitude, he's a great teammate, like, my kid knows him, or maybe I don't have a kid, and I'm just like, I know them, like, I'm going to take him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, there are instances, but it's just the times where it's like, it's almost like suspect, and it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Which, it's not all the time, but it does happen. And that's where it's just like, you wish that those other things were in place so they just couldn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
Again, the third party evaluations making it, like, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we're talking minor hockeys, and like I said, when you're dealing with volunteers and what you have, like, sometimes you have to just, it's going to be what it's going to be. But I just hope everybody is doing it for the right reasons and for the kids. And I just know that there are a lot of parent coaches that are doing, like, they're coaching and everything for their own kid.
Right. Yeah.
And that's fine if your kid is good and deserves to be there, and maybe your kid is the best player and they get the most ice time, then they're deserving of that.
Right.
Because there is that.
For sure.
I've seen it so many times. Parents will be like, complaining because the coach's kid's playing, but the coach's kid is the best player on the ice by a landslide. There is that case. I've seen that too. Well, it's like, do you watch the game, Carol? Like, Jesus. Little Jimmy can't even get, like, like it happens all the time. But that one thing, it's just tough when you see kids on teams that the coaches kids just don't deserve to be there, or they're very average. Like, that's when, and maybe even they're playing up in the lineup than they should be. Like, there's just so many different situations. I hope I've kind of talked on all of them because they're all relevant. But again, you hope everybody's in it for the right reasons, and you hope that there's as little ego as possible on the coaches.
Sorry, Carol, if you're listening to this.
I don't know a specific Carol that I was going after there. It was just the first name that popped to my head. I don't know why either. I thought it'd sound pretty good.
It did. I just like that because every name is different and they just come out of left field for you. But yeah, I find that entertaining. Okay, so a follow-up question to that. Hockey politics exist in minor hockey. It's the unfortunate truth.
I think they exist in everything in the world.
True. But we're here to talk about minor hockey.
Yes, we are. Cameraman.
What advice can you give to parents so that they are aware how their behavior affects their kid?
Ooh, this is a beautiful thing. It's a real thing.
For sure.
Like, when we're drafting kids, like with the Pats, like, we want to know about mom and dad because that's important. We don't want to bring anybody that's psychotic into the mix. Like, I've seen it happen a lot. And I know a few parents that they said to me, like, they couldn't believe that their kid didn't make it. And I'm like, well, have you ever, like, recorded yourself talk for 45 minutes and hit play? So that's terrible, though. Like, kids not making teams because of their mom and dad, like, that's brutal.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for the kids, but it's a reality we're living in.
Yeah.
So many parents want, like, there's parents out there that want it more than their kids, and, like, they're exhausting. Like, we don't need to bring, like, I don't want to have to see you at the rink every day. Especially if your kid's, like, pretty equivalent to somebody else. Like, you know what I mean? And that does happen lots. But again, we're talking next level and high levels, like, that stuff's really important. WHL, NHL, the family is important.
Yeah. You
want good people. You want kids that come from good people, humble homes, like, because you want to build a good dressing room. If you know a kid's parents are just, every time they get in the car, they're telling them something differently than the coaches, or they're telling them that they're the next coming of Christ, that they're better than sliced bread, which it happens all the time. Like teams don't want kids that come from that environment, because what are they going to do? They're going to be selfish and brutal teammates, because that's all they've heard. It's not their fault.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and this happens so often. It's crazy, man. I could tell some unreal stories, but I don't need to chuck anybody under the bus.
What are some examples of bad parent behavior that you've seen that might be negatively affecting kids when it comes to, being selected for teams?
Both. In front of their kids or not in front of their kids? Well, it doesn't matter. Talking negatively about the coaches or other players on the team in front of other parents at the rink. Like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Talking like that in front of your kid. If you're a goalie, parents saying, "Oh, the D were brutal tonight, little Johnny. Nothing you could have done. If the team played like how they do in front of the other goalie, you'd be the best." Like, all that kind of stuff is complete garbage. Like, the worst, it is hot, flaming garbage. Like, there's nothing else to put that. That kind of, like, behavior and words are the most toxic thing I've ever heard. And not just for their future in sport, for their personal development as a human being. Like, they're instantly Like when a kid hears a parent say that kind of stuff, like they're building excuses, they're pointing the fingers. Like that is what the world does not need more of.
Yeah.
And again, how they act at the rink. Like if you're going to the rink to talk crap about the coach or ice time or about other players on the team, like give your head a smack. Like why? You're going to the rink to support your kid and to cheer them on, to watch them play a game that they love. It should end right there.
Yeah.
And if you hear another parent talking like that, tell them to shut up. Say that is not needed here. Or go to the opposite end of the rink. Don't get involved in that because that is hot garbage, like I said. Like that actually pisses me off more than anything in the entire world. And I hear it, just the amount of excuses. I hear parents like just blaming teams, blaming like it's minor sports, minor hockey.
Yeah.
Like what is this? This is not the National Hockey League. And sorry to break it to you, but little Johnny's not even going to come within a stratosphere of that league. Because do you know how hard it is to get to that league? Let me stop you there. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You have no idea. No idea. Like, I played for the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. You want to know how many first-round WHL draft picks we had on our team? Like, I don't know off by hand, but...
A lot.
Be the first overall pick in the WHL. And you think little Johnny's going to get to... Like, the amount of things that have to go right is not even funny. Let alone God-given skill.
Yeah.
Let alone work ethic. Let alone, like, genetics. Like, there's so many things that have to go right. So when you do go to the rink, just be happy.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how long you're going to get to watch little Johnny wear that jersey and play hard. And you know what I mean? All of a sudden, they're going to be older and not playing anymore. Mm-hmm. So just be happy that you're there and support them and create a good environment, like, with the other parents. Like, sorry, I went on a little tangent.
I like it.
I got to cut you off quick there's a guy that plays on Vegas right now. And if you would have ever asked me if he was going to make the NHL, like when I was playing, I would have been like, not a chance. Not a chance. Mm-hmm. Like, not even a little bit. And he was asked this summer, like, how did you make it? And he goes, well, my GM likes Western Canadian kids. I work hard. I stay out of the good players' way and do my job. Try not to step on anybody's toes. He made it because he's a hard worker, doesn't say much, doesn't bother the good players. Right? Like, you get in a dressing room and the good players don't like you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
You'll be out of that league. Like, you know, there's just so many things. Like, there's an example.
Yeah.
And compared to, I played with some guys who were first-round NHL draft picks. They're done playing already.
Yeah.
28. Like, it's... So if parents can hear this, like, just relax. Whether they do, maybe they do make a great career and they play pro hockey or they play university or whatever. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Like, just be a good person and try to be a good example for them. Because there's no player in the world, maybe there's the one in a bazillion, but I was going to say there's nobody that has made the NHL with their parents drilling them in the ear after every game, talking negatively about everybody. Like, I can't see it happening.
Yeah.
Maybe they said a few things, but, like, that starts to form the character in that person.
Right.
And again, these teams are looking for good people, good players. Not just good players, but good personalities so they can build a good dressing room. If you're a problem or you have an attitude issue, like I said, there's so many good players in the world. And I hope so many parents hear this. Like, I played with the first overall WHL draft pick of my age was on my university hockey team at 21. First overall.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So like,
Perspective.
yeah, you have a better chance to win the lottery in Canada than your kid to play in the NHL. You have a better chance to win the lottery. If I told you right now, go buy a lottery ticket, you got a pretty good chance, what would you say?
Sure.
No. If you and me just like went out of this room,
Yeah.
I was like, hey, camera guy, go buy a lottery ticket. You got a pretty good chance to win tomorrow. What would you say?
I would laugh at you.
Exactly.
You didn't lead me into...
Well, I know. I need to draw because your brain is the size of an acorn.
I hope somebody listening can defend me on that
No,
one. 'Cause
buddy, it
you made
made
it sound
sense.
like I had good odds to win the lottery.
Well, no, I was asking you about the legitimate Lotto 649 that's at the Shell right now.
We're going to blow past the lottery and move on.
Yeah. Long story short, chances aren't good. Be a good person.
All right, we're at the part in the podcast where it is time to answer some questions from the Increased Performance Goalie Community. First question. Can you dive deep into the topic of skate sharpening and finding what works for each goalie? Maybe elaborate on the pros and cons of sharper skates, setup guidelines related to the sharpening, and if there's different profiles of the blade to consider.
First off, I'm not an expert on skate sharpening. This is just my opinion. When it comes to like a radius and everything, I personally like less sharp skates now. When I played, I used to use 3/8, which is absolutely crazy to me. Because now I like 5/8, but like even less than that, to be completely honest. The one biggest thing, especially within minor hockey rinks, is like the floors. Like you can easily step on a stone. Every time you play goal, you kick your posts with your blades, like you nick them up. So the number one thing is just making sure that you have good edges all the time. They don't need to be a sharp radius. You just have to have good edges all the time. I would recommend less sharp skates now. I think you can have quicker feet, lighter feet on the ice rather than getting stuck, and it's way easier on your hips. A sharper skate and a bigger radius is way harder on your glutes and your hips. Like it's not even funny. I scrape the crease now, and I can really tell, depending on how sharp my skates are, how hard it is on my hips. So that's one thing. And then when it comes to profiling, I know my goalies with the Pats get them profiled. Our equipment guy does, and he swears by it. A little bit forward, I'm pretty sure it is. I know nothing about profiling, so I don't even want to comment on it. But I think there are some benefits to it for sure. I just don't want to give a comment because, again, I've never used it before. But yeah, if you had a choice, just make sure that you have good edges all the time. Start at 5/8. That's what I would recommend. And if you're feeling them dull from there, I think you have a bad person sharpening your skates. Because if they're done properly at 5/8, you should have good edges.
It's interesting to hear you talk about the injury correlation, and I think it's valuable for parents to hear that.
It's about longevity, right?
Yeah.
So the sharper your skates are, the more wear and tear on your hips, the more stress you're putting on it every single time you're shuffling, anything like that. So, yeah, I would just recommend 5/8 or maybe even a little less, but just getting them done often.
So my next question then is, what is often enough for a minor hockey goalie that's maybe playing?
I don't know, every 3 to 5 skates.
Okay.
Depending on the edges. Maybe you lose an edge because you step on a rock or, it's just, I always recommend having an extra set of blades, right? In case something does happen, you lose an edge, you can change them out. But the other thing that's really handy nowadays that we never had back when we played, we had sweet sticks, baby, which are terrible.
Oh, yeah.
They're junk. Everybody has a sharpener now, like a Sparks machine or something like that. Free plug for Sparks. You're welcome. Anyways, but yeah, they're $1,000 to $1,500, and they work better than people.
Yeah.
Takes human error right out of it, right? Maybe Johnny had a late night the night before at Sport Check, and he's doing up your blades the next day. Whoa,
For sure.
Yeah, takes human error right out of it. So that's pretty cool.
Wow, that was a good answer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What advice? Next question. what advice do you have for a parent and a young goalie after a bad loss when your team totally hung you out to dry?
There it is.
There it is. We just talked about it.
You should have just ended it right there at bad loss.
Right.
You're already pointing the finger at that it was the team's fault. Well, how many did little Johnny let in? Did it say the score?
It didn't say the score, no.
So little Johnny got shelled. Obviously, no matter how bad the team played, little Johnny didn't have his best game possible.
Right.
So maybe just a little bit of self-reflection. But again, these things do happen. That's part of being a goalie.
Yep.
Like when you sign up for being a goalie, there's not a thing that comes in the mail that says your team's going to be good every night.
Right. Could you imagine?
Like, that's part of being a goalie. And those things do happen. So when it does happen, like, make sure that you're getting up the next day with a good attitude and you're being positive, like getting your kid to talk positively. And yeah, like I know it's hard sometimes when they're young because they're mental midgets and they can't handle that kind of stuff. But that's just what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Like, get up the next day and put your work boots on and get after it. Right? Like, there's no point sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. The longer you do that, the worse it's going to be. So get back on the bull, whether you got a game or a practice, and go do your thing.
For sure. I mean, if it's a young kid, it could be easier said than done, but...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I still say that to 8-year-olds.
Yeah. They need to learn, right? Whether it's at 8 or at 12. If they learn it at 8, they're better off, right? I get what
Why'd you start playing hockey?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Then get the hell on the ice and then go stop the puck and have some fun.
Yeah.
Go have fun. It's just a game.
Yeah.
No one got hurt. Hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah.
It does sound easier said than done, but it's really not if that's your mindset.
Yeah.
And the way that your household is. Again, we're not saying, oh, it's okay, your team was so bad in front of you. Well, then little Johnny's going to be soft right away. He's thinking, yeah, my team sucks. Ugh. Well, little Johnny, let's break down all the goals. How about that 5-hole trickler that you let in from the top of the circle? Right? Like, just if you want to sit your kid down, go through every single goal after the game with a positive learning mindset. What could have we done differently? Maybe it was a crazy breakdown and was missing the net by 6 feet and hit Toby in the heel and went in, and you didn't have a hope in hell. But maybe if you look at that play a little earlier, little Johnny, you kicked out a bad rebound that kept that play alive. Like, there's always, and have it with a positive mindset. And then after you're done doing that, put her behind you, move forward.
I love that last part of that answer. That was really good.
I love that.
Toby, that's a new one. It took a lot of willpower for me not to.
I was thinking about the Lord of the Rings, but I'm pretty sure that's Dobby. Right?
Dobby.
Dobby, the little
Yes.
little alien, like, kind of, honestly. Now that I say it and I look at you, like,
Camera
that
Guy's
actually
Dobby.
might be your twin.
Funny stuff. All right. That was good. Last question. Is it at all possible to become so good as a goalie that I'll be able to win?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely times that a goalie can steal a game, but don't think that it's going to happen every single night. And if it does, then that will go away as you get older. Like maybe you're 13 or 15 and you're dominating and you're winning games. Awesome. But as you get older and the levels get higher, that happens less and less. So, I mean, it is possible. But again, like, don't put the pressure on yourself that you're going to win every game. Just go do your job. Like, that's the only thing. It doesn't matter if they play good, they play bad. It doesn't affect you. Your job is to stop the puck and worry about you and stay focused on you. If your team's missing wide open nets and you're getting frustrated, you're already worrying about things that you have no control over. So just worry about the things you have control over, and that's your breathing in a game, and that's stopping the next puck, and that's leave it at there.
So there's actually a follow-up to that. What are some things that he could work on? I shouldn't say he. I don't know for sure if it's a guy. They could work on in a short amount of time to help give them an edge.
How short of a time? I don't know. I don't believe in short-term anything. Like, there's no cheat codes to anything. It's just consistency of going to bed at a good time, having good routines, working hard every single day, doing all the little things right. Like, that's what'll give you success. There's no such thing as a little handbook that's going to make you cut corners or help you have that edge. Like, doing all the little things on a daily basis is going to help you have the edge then and in the long run.
I like it. Well, that brings us to the end of
Yeah,
Hockey
thanks,
Politics.
Dobie.
Thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, I don't look like a Lord of the Rings character, but
Honestly, we need to get
maybe you guys can let me know.
You do look with your
Come
Matt
on.
orange beard coming in, Ron Weasley.
You gotta play the cards you're dealt, you know?
Yeah,
Gotta play the cards you're dealt. But
you were dealt the Joker hand.
Thanks, Mom. All right. Well, thanks for making it this far, and
I got to be on the ice in 1 minute.